Okay, so in this video, we are going to execute the second step in the DevOps tutorial. So if you're following along with the Git repository, we are in step 2, submit the API spec for review. So this is going to be our first Tekton pipeline that we execute. In high level, what's going to happen in this Tekton pipeline is the 3 following items. I mean, other than we're going to fetch down the Git repo, but fundamentally what's going to happen is we're then, once we fetch that Git repository, the disputes-apispec repo, we're going to use the inso CLI to do standard open API spec linting, just to make sure there's no general concerns. Second step is assuming that passes, then we're going to use the inso CLI tool internally to export the spec from that inso format into the actual API spec YAML file that we need. And then with that, we'll then open up a PR to the APIOps gateway Git repository so that we can execute pipeline number 2. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to go ahead and copy this Tekton pipeline run right here and navigate to the CLI. Here we go. I've gone ahead and logged in to my Openshift cluster, but I'm going to do it again just in case. Make sure we're logged in. And then we can go ahead and take a look at the pipeline run that I have open. So you'll notice that these pipeline runs, you may have noticed that they weren't there originally when you first downloaded the Git repository. That's because all of them were dynamically generated for you with the Ansible playbook to account for changing URLs and things of that nature. But in this pipeline run, number 1, we can see that it's going to have a generated name of disputes API spec followed by some hash. It's going to be in the disputes API spec namespace, and then we've got a series of parameters right here. This is where Git is hosted. This is the name of the Git repository. This is where we're pushing it to, and this is information we need in order to get it out of the inso format, and this is the spec version that we're going to be creating. So if you've copied that command, you can just execute it immediately. There we go, it's created, and now we'll actually navigate up to Openshift and look at the pipeline run. So if we go to, I'm going to go ahead and grab my password because I never remember. I'm going to copy that guy. I'm just going to go back up to Openshift. Log in as producer admin. What's the password? And navigate to disputes API spec namespace. We can see we have a pipeline running. Let's go to the run. Run it again. Here we go. And we can see it's running. So there are some fine-grained steps, but we had to fetch the repo. We're doing that first step, inso linting. Then we're going to export the spec and then prep it for the next Git repository. So this is going to take a few minutes to finish. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and I will see you in the next one where we're going to execute the second Tekton pipeline and review what happened.